Welcome back to Vikes with a mic. As always, your host JC here with my co-host and good buddy T. Tyler, my guy.
Yeah. What up?
We're in the win column, buddy.
Finally.
Finally, right?
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, for all the hype that this team had, throughout the offseason,
Right.
going into the regular season, going into overtime with the Bengals, right? Heartbreaking loss there with the Dalvin fumble, 50-50, call there. Is it a fumble? Is it not?
Yep.
Losing in such heartbreaking fashion. And then also next week, against Arizona, even more heartbreaking fashion, but a fashion that Vikings fans like us are just so used to. A majority of us, we looked at whoever we were watching the game with and we were like, nah, no way, not in Minnesota. But finally, for the first time in the career of Russell Wilson, the Minnesota Vikings have defeated the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, first time since 2009.
Yeah, Brett Favre in 2009.
Right.
That is insane, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So, number one, how are you feeling right out the gate?
I'm feeling amazing. The game plan was just phenomenal with this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think offensively, Mike Zimmer kind of came out and said it in the post-game press conference, right? He had never seen that good of an offensive performance in his 8 years here. Now, I think that's a really bold statement because I think that they've had some higher scoring games, some arguably better offensive performances during his tenure. But yeah, as you were saying about the game.
Yeah. I was so happy with what the game plan was on offense. I mean, defense struggled a little bit in the first half, but they kind of just settled down and it got better. We kind of figured out how to contain Russell, but I was just super happy with what they did, especially on offense. There was a balance to this offense. We were able to run the football. We let Kirk do his thing. I mean, he threw the ball 38 times, which I liked. He was very accurate as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just simple plays. I mean, Kirk was just extending all these passes. His first read wasn't a check down most of the time like it was when we saw in the preseason. He was looking at the linebacker, whichever way the linebacker was going, he was throwing it into the seam and right down the middle and looking downfield to JJ and Thielen. It was so impressive to watch what they did on offense.
So since we're on the Kirk Cousins note right now, because I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think we can get into coaching here in just a second. But since we're on Kirk Cousins right this second, if the Vikings win week 1, which they should have, right, theoretically, if Dalvin doesn't get called for a fumble there. And if they kick an easily makeable field goal in the NFL week 2, you're looking at a 3-0 team. Kirk Cousins has thrown 8 touchdowns. Correct me if I'm wrong. 8 touchdowns for
0 interceptions.
0 interceptions, yep. And just under 1,000 yards, I believe. With one of the highest completion percentages in the NFL. Would you say that Kirk Cousins is an MVP candidate currently?
Absolutely, right now. Dark horse for sure. I mean, what he's doing right now is just underappreciated compared to what other people around the league are doing. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, besides the first half in Cincinnati, he's been on point, man. Second half, Cincinnati, you argue he played pretty well. All of Arizona, in my opinion, he played well. He gave us a chance to win. And in this game, it was phenomenal what he did. So, yeah.
So, I think I shouldn't say I set you up for failure because I like where your head's at. And, I mean, as a Vikings fan, right, I want an MVP to be the leader of this offense, obviously, leader of this team. But I'm going to disagree with you because I think an MVP makes those games W's, no matter what. That's the idea of an MVP, right? Your most valuable player in the league. So if Kirk truly was an MVP caliber player, and this is not to take away from what he did this last week, because it was absolutely amazing. He had that fire in his eye, that Kirk Cousins that I want to see week in and week out. That's who showed up on Sunday. But the previous 2 weeks, he was not that guy. He looked good statistically. He hasn't made any mistakes, that have put this team in a bad spot necessarily, but that's not what an MVP is, right? An MVP is a guy who, when he sees 41 seconds left on the clock and they're down at the 18-yard line, he doesn't just let that time tick away. He checks into a play that he knows is going to get at least maybe another 5 yards, if not a really great shot at the end zone, something like that. And actually, same thing with the Bengals game, right? Like an MVP doesn't let that come down to overtime. An MVP takes care of that in the game against a team like the Bengals. I love Kirk Cousins. I love what he's doing. I hope that he keeps it up. But those are my thoughts on the whole MVP conversation as of right now. I'll tell you what, though, if he stays that, if he keeps that 0 in the interception column, he keeps racking up those touchdowns, and this team ends up 500 by this time next week, it's going to be a totally different story coming out of my mouth. If you beat the Browns this week, which we'll get into and we'll break down here after we're done talking about the Seattle game, then MVP is no longer a dark horse conversation. It should be right in the thick of it at that point.
I mean, I don't know. I would tend to agree, but at the same time, it's just like I feel like a lot of the faults to Kirk was on the offense and the play calling in general and coaching, Mike Zimmer decisions, Clint Kubiak decisions. I wouldn't blame that all on Kirk because the offensive line was absolutely brain dead in the first half. I mean, pretty much the entire Cincinnati game, they were just brain dead. I don't know what was happening. I'm not going to blame that all on Kirk, but it's got to be coaching staff too.
Yeah. So I totally get what you're saying. I guess what my point is he, in order to be an MVP in my eyes, has been here long enough where he should know those situations. It should be like the was it Monday Night Football? I think not this Monday Night Football game, but last week's when it was the Raiders and Baltimore. Right,
that was week 1, but
week 1. Sorry, and Harbaugh is going out there and saying, you want to go for this.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Lamar's not even coming off the field. Right. I think in that situation, Harbaugh might be the one asking, but it seemed like Lamar was the one with the power there. And that's Lamar Jackson, an MVP quarterback. So that makes sense. Right. So that's the difference in my opinion. Kirk taking it on himself in week 1 and week 2. If he had done that 1 or 2 more times, then we would be looking at a 3-0 football team, in my opinion, and a bona fide MVP candidate. So he just needs to keep doing what he did on Sunday.
Yeah. And that's why I said dark horse. I didn't say like fully. I mean, he's almost there. I wouldn't say he's there, but he's freaking playing like this last game for sure. But time to move on. Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, get back on topic with the Seattle game now that we've gotten that conversation out of the way. So offensively, it was schemed perfectly. You don't have Dalvin Cook and you still manage to run with Alexander Mattison for 112 yards. Then you're doing great. That was absolutely amazing what the offense put out there, in my opinion. Sure, I kind of wish they would have finished off some drives in the second half with touchdowns instead of field goals, but some things that you can always clean up in every game, no matter how good you play. So, any last thoughts on the offense during the Seattle game this last week?
I mean, I would just want to say Justin Jefferson had a crazy good game. I mean, he did have 2 drops again, but other than that, he was phenomenal just with route running and everything. And also, Oli Udoh had a phenomenal game, in my opinion.
Oli Udoh looked amazing. The offensive line in general did a fantastic job of picking up what Seattle was doing there, whether it was picking up different blitz or setting the protection straight away and getting the correct call out, getting out and making some really fantastic blocks on those screen plays and taking
screens. That's really what stood out.
The hunger that Seattle was kind of showing, with how much they were attacking the backfield and how much they were attacking the quarterback. You can take advantage of that. And I think that the Vikings not only did that through, like you said, the coaching calls finally, and the play calls, but they did that themselves in the players. Another guy who really shined for me was, but had kind of a really sneaky good game, was Tyler Cockle. He had a really fantastic game, in my opinion. He found a lot of big spots where he was just open and ready to catch the ball, and he was ready to run after those catches. He averaged 10 yards per catch on the dot, and he scored a touchdown. And that touchdown, by the way, first of all, great pass by Kirk, but also great catch by Conklin, making it with a guy basically pinned right on him and then quickly turning and making sure that he gets that ball across the plane and into the end zone. Absolutely fantastic play on both those guys' parts. So yeah, not much that I not much that I have to say on the negative side for the offense. I was really impressed by them.
Yeah, this is a great offense. It can easily be the best in this league. I mean, it's got the players, so that's not what we got to be worried about at all.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt about it. On the flip side, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball here, because they had a really interesting game. They started pretty level and then dropped pretty quickly. And then they kept dropping pretty quickly. And then something happened right before halftime. And I think it was in part due to really good coaching decisions, again, of draining the clock down and not allowing this defense to get out on the field back within those 2 minutes where they've been giving up so many points before halftime, only giving them like 30 seconds that they had to be on the field. But anyways, playing it safe there, going into halftime, making some really fantastic adjustments, and then not allowing a single point in the second half. So overall, great day by the defense. Anytime, you allow your team to go out there and win by the amount of points that they did in an NFL game is a massive deal. But what were your thoughts on the defense? Because I definitely have some myself.
I like the adjustments they made at halftime. I think that was phenomenal. But the first half, I was not impressed at all. I think it was Zimmer just getting absolutely outcoached by Pete Carroll and not being ready at all. I mean, these guys look slow. The linebackers they were slow. They didn't come out and stop the run at all. Chris Carson literally had a field day. I mean, we just didn't look determined to stop the run at all. And the corners, like Brashad Breeland, like what was the space we were giving DK Metcalf on the outside playing man one-on-one? What was that? Why are we giving him that much space?
Yeah, you cannot play off coverage against DK freaking Metcalf.
You can.
He ran down a pick six last year from the opposite side of the field.
Like that touchdown, I'm talking about. Breeland's really back in the end zone. Yes, I know you don't want to get mossed, but you have to challenge him at least. You have to get up on his grill and get physical. You're going to have to make him go out and make a play and beat you in the back of the end zone, not just give it to him. Give him space to run an out route because DK Metcalf can do everything, man. Some people, I guess, don't realize it, but the man's 6'4", but he can run out routes. He's quick.
Yeah, it's insane.
He's a monster. It's just like you can't just give him that space, though, for free. And I don't get what Breeland's doing, and then he's just, I don't know.
Yeah, the Breeland situation was rough, to say the least, in the first half, but then they did a really great job of scheming up that side of the field where if you watch, Harrison provides a lot of help basically the second half and kind of allows Breeland to play the way that it seems like he wants to play. Now, again, I think that that's a coaching decision where you have to tell Breeland, hey man, you're playing way, way, way too off of DK Metcalf right now. You are not giving him enough issue at the line of attack and kind of getting in the development of some of his routes where he was figuring out how to get open before Breeland even realized what the play itself was. Yeah. So when you shift a guy like Harrison Smith over there, who is really, really amazing at diagnosing those types of things in football, he's just, his football IQ is
phenomenal.
Absolutely insane. They never ran across the field basically after that. They didn't find themselves in great positions where they could get their wide receivers the ball unless the defense was, again, in situations where they were kind of trying to play a more prevent defense, or they were sending big blitz packages where you're leaving, holes open in the field and just kind of letting Russ cook.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing. I was really, really happy with the amount of pressure that the Vikings gave Russell Wilson. I think that they translated some of what they did against Arizona to Seattle.
Which I like.
Right. But also Russ is not nearly as mobile now as Kyler Murray is down there in Arizona. So for them, I think it was a slight bit easier. It was great to see the sack daddy, Everson Griffin, get it.
That spin move was so nice. That was so nice. Oh my gosh.
That was pretty textbook. And then EK got in there in the sack column.
Right. Yeah, that was a nice sack too.
On a pretty fantastic blitz right up the middle there. So just good to see our guys doing what we know they can do. Danielle Hunter obviously also just constantly winning at the point of the attack.
Constantly. He was getting held like crazy too. Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So
if you watch the tape on that, he was getting held like crazy.
So I had to come back obviously after working the game and watch this game so that I could talk about it from a more analytical perspective on the show today. And the amount of times that, and this was a day or two. It might have been a full 2 days actually after Sunday. So today, actually, it was early today. What am I talking about? Anyways, I'm screaming at the TV basically. What what is going on? Where's the holding calls? Because it was so obvious to me, so obvious that he was getting just hugged consistently.
It's just because he's that good. And he's And this is what we missed last season, man. This is exactly what we missed last season. And I'm so thankful Daniel's back. Oh, man.
Yeah, because it's opening up so many opportunities for our other defensive linemen, and you're really seeing how that pays off. So big props to Danielle Hunter. I think I really completely agree with what you're saying thus far. The first half was rough. It kind of started to look like Seattle was going to get away from us, if anything. And then they figured it out. And I do think it kind of comes back to the offense as well, because they had a couple drives where they just chewed up so much clock.
Yeah.
Again, like I go back to the drive for our offense before half, leaving only 20 some seconds left on that clock for our defense to go out there. And then after scoring a touchdown, driving the length of the field and scoring a touchdown and putting Seattle in a position where they felt they needed to get down the field fast and try and get maybe a field goal to make it a 1-point game going into the half. But then also the drive right out of half where we get the ball and we take a full 9 minutes and some change, I think, off the clock. Like, you eat up more than half of a quarter in any game, and you're going to put yourself in a really great position to win on both offense and defense.
Yeah. Just my opinion, just the last thing to touch on, I think the real turning point was, I think it was 17-7 at this point. We had the ball on a third down, and Seattle got a holding penalty in their secondary. I think it was on, it might have been KJ. I think that was really the real turning point of the game, because that was probably the biggest drive of the game. That holding penalty happened and extended that drive for us. We ended up punching it in. I believe it was Thielen. No, it was Thielen. It was Thielen's drive where he had that touchdown.
Yeah.
Make it 17-14. Then our defense finally got that stop. And then we, obviously, the drive that you talked about earlier, we killed the clock, ran all the way down, and then we got it to JJ. Back of the end zone, the corner. So, I think that was probably the turning point in this game. That really sealed it for us. And then the second half, we came out just a lot sharper on defense. Yeah. Offense cleaned it up too. I mean, it wasn't bad, but the game plan was phenomenal with what they did in the second half, the adjustments they made.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Mark Sanchez on the call for this game. absolutely amazing. He was the one. I know he was really stressing how important that holding call was too. And
right. It was though.
It was. It was a total momentum swing. You could just feel it. And from there on, it was like the Vikings offense could do no wrong, really. So pretty awesome stuff. That leaves us with the third phase of the game, because shout out to my boy Pat McAfee. You can't forget special teams, for the win.
Hey, there we go.
We'll start with
Mr. Barry.
No, I was going to start with Greg Joseph.
Oh, okay.
I think Barry deserves to be the last note, because that was a beautiful little touch.
Oh,
so we'll get into that in a second. Let's start with Greg Joseph.
Yep.
In my opinion, not that you really can ever redeem yourself from a situation like he was in Arizona. This is about as close as you can get. You make every single extra point, you make every single kick, and you as a kicker put this thing away to the best of your ability. And I really, really hope that the kid got his confidence back, because I think Zim did the right thing by making it clear at the press conference during this week, hey, every kicker misses field goals. Let's not freaking keep harping on this kid, because our team could have won that game in many different ways. It didn't have to come down to Greg Joseph, which is absolutely correct. Not to mention, as I've been stressing, also on Zimmer for not trying to get into the end zone on that drive when you're already driving with that amount of time left, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Greg Joseph, I think he came as close to a redemption game as you can possibly get in the NFL. What do you feel?
I mean, it was perfectly written up. I mean, he was 3 for 3 on extra point and field goal. I was just so proud of every kick. He just looked locked in my opinion. Like even the extra points, just boom, right down the middle too. Just boom, everything down the middle. Everything just looked good. I was impressed. He looked locked in. Everything seemed easy for Greg this week. It seemed like he just threw everything out from last week, which is what you absolutely love to see. So I'm proud of him. I'm happy he bounced back. I hope everything continues, and we just move on from that Arizona game and just throw it in the trash can. Get rid of that game for him, at least.
No, 100%. I love what you're saying. I think the big thing about this too, right, is this home stretch that we have. So you make every kick in your first home game as a Viking, regular season home game as a Viking. And now you get to come back next Sunday against a really tough team in the Browns, which we're going to get into in just a second here. And that gives you that home field advantage. You don't have to deal with the crowd noise. And then you come back home against the Detroit Lions, right? A team that we consistently, every year have down as 2 wins in when we do our schedule predictions. So hopefully that will be 3 weeks of really solid kicking performances where he can build a really great confidence, so that when we need to rely on him and maybe it's not at home, he has that to draw on. So this is hopefully coming at a really good time where he can kind of start stacking. But let's get into it, man, because Jordan Berry, the Aussie, hitting us with one of, if not the best punts that I have seen in an extremely long time. That was the icing on the cake.
Oh, absolute icing. That's like, you're adding way more layers of icing. I thought there was some icing already on the cake, but that just sealed the dang deal, man.
I mean, he had 2 punts, right? Yeah, 2 punts.
2 punts.
Homie downs this ball. I think they technically called it the 2-yard line, but it was really more like 1.5.
It was the 1, I believe. Should have been, yeah.
So you don't want to punt the ball, obviously, right? But if you're going to punt the ball in a end of the game situation, that's exactly where I want that ball to go. Right there. So big time play by Jordan Berry, basically sealing the deal that we would shut out Seattle in the second half, which is fantastic. Absolutely love that, to kind of finally wipe the smirk off Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll when they're playing against the purple and gold. But yeah, can't give enough props to him, because I gotta have love for my punters, man. I'm starting to learn that.
Yeah, just got to shout out the broadcast crew again for shouting out McAfee too. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know if you
Yeah, that
heard
was
that.
fantastic. That
Was great. That's just great content in my opinion. So
yeah, absolutely. Knowing that that's going to show up on the PMS, the Pat McAfee show. I actually have yet to see the clip though, so I got to keep tuning in. I know that he's talked about the Vikes every once in a while, but anyways, we're getting on now to next week, right?
yep.
That's great. Your Vikings are 1-2. How do we get to 2-2? We got the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski coming home in the House of Pain, as PA likes to call it.
Oh God.
US Bank Stadium. Fans are going to be rocking.
Right.
Absolutely rocking. I can't wait to be there because Seattle was absolutely insane. There were some moments where I thought there were earthquakes happening in that building. So yeah, I am beyond stoked for this. What is the key to this game, Tyler?
Well, the key to this game is, let's see, Jarvis Landry will be out of this game. So I think it all comes down to this Viking run defense. We've struggled a little bit in these first 3 games in run defense. Arizona, not so much, but the first week 1 and week 3 we did, in my opinion. Containing Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is the biggest key to this game for the Vikings. You put Baker Mayfield in passing downs and a lot of passing situations in this game in the House of Pain, he'll struggle. He'll definitely struggle, especially with Jarvis Landry out. I mean, the last time Odell Beckham Jr. came into US Bank, he got absolutely locked down by Xavier Rhodes on a Monday night.
That's right.
I don't expect nothing else to change with that. I think Pat P can absolutely shut him down. Mayfield's never had to witness the House of Pain, man. I think the defense is the biggest key. I'm not worried about our offense. I know Cleveland does have a stingy defense. They did absolutely shut down Justin Fields this week, but I'm not worried with Kirk Cousins. I think we do need to stop Myles Garrett, though. I mean, Rashad Hill, whatever side he's lining up against, Rashad Hill needs to play good. Brian O'Neill needs to play good because freaking Myles Garrett is an absolute menace. But the biggest key is just to stop the run game. You put Baker Mayfield in tough spots, he's going to struggle in this game. And that's just my opinion for sure. And I think we can win this game if we do that.
I like where your head's at because I think you are 100% correct about putting Baker in tough spots, right? If you just look at historically kind of his career thus far in the NFL, when he's been in spots where it feels like he needs to go and win the game, he seems like a guy who should really have that narrative more than Kirk even at this point. He just can't do it. I like where your head's at, but I'm going to go in the other direction. I'm going to say that Kirk Cousins is the key to this game.
Okay.
And you could probably tell by my opening statements how I feel. But yeah, it all comes down to Kirk Cousins. Can he continue to play at this MVP level that he is starting to establish? It's the beginning of Kirktober, baby. So
right.
He could be able to do it. He plays phenomenally in October. It's actually like absolutely insane. His career averages in October. Feel free to look those up on your own time. Sadly, I don't have them right in front of me. But yeah, he's an absolute monster in October. I'm hoping we're going to have Dalvin back. So that gives you another, target out of the backfield. Not that Madison didn't do amazing like we already touched on. But it all comes down to Kirk. If Kirk can put the ball in the end zone and basically keep my my other favorite player as of recently, Jordan Berry, off the field, then that's going to be the key to this game, because I think that is how you're going to put Cleveland into a tough situation. You have the home field advantage with the crowd, and the defense figured it out in the second half, and I think that they're gonna come in rocking again. So I have a feeling the pressure is going to be on the Browns offense, but can you take advantage of that and continue to click on offense and put this game out of reach, hopefully early, right? Yeah. So that your defense can continue to tee off. And kind of like you said, not
put Baker in spots where he's got to throw the entire game.
Yeah, exactly. Not, if you can take that run game out of the scenario from the get-go, puts you in a much better position, in my opinion. So, So yeah, it's going to come down to Kirk Cousins, man. And I can tell you right now, if Kirk Cousins throws another 3 touchdowns and 0 picks, I don't really care too much about yardage, but if he throws 3 touchdowns at least and 0 picks in this game, and everybody listening to this does not go out and start to just put a little bit of money on Kirk Cousins for an MVP, you're doing yourself a disservice because the dude might win you big money. Big money. But we'll see. It all comes down to Sunday at noon p.m. Central Time in Ziggy's World, US Bank Stadium. Minnesota's gonna be rocking. I'll be there. I know you'll be there in spirit, cheering them on. Of
course.
We'll probably be able to hear you all the way from Stillwater.
Oh man, yeah. Ooh.
But with that,
predictions?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that brings us to score predictions.
All right.
We didn't do too bad this last week.
Oh.
So,
finally hit him on the hammer, man. Finally got something right last week for me.
Yeah.
Actually, I did predict we would lose week 2, but we didn't do. We recorded the same day, so I couldn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would have had it. I can't I'm not lying here, people. I would have said Arizona would have won that game. So I guess I'm 2-1.
You can check the tape on our season prediction episode,
right?
If you're not believing that. So, do you have a score prediction for me?
I do. I have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game 20-17. I think the defense picks them off late. I think we get an interception that seals the deal.
Whoa. 20-17. So this one's going to be another nail biter. I think it feels like a majority of Vikings.
Bit of a lower scoring, I'd say, just because I think both teams are really going to try to establish the run in this game. Both teams are going to try to control the clock.
Sure.
Both teams are, I'd say, run first teams. So I'd say 20-17. I think our defense comes up with a play late, though, on Baker Mayfield. I think he folds under the pressure in the House of Pain. 2017 Vikes.
Wow. I am going to say that we more than double them. I'm going to say we're going to win this thing 31-14.
Wow.
I think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to come out of the gates clicking right where they left off. You have to remember there's so many guys on this team that, due to COVID, due to being free agent signings, they had no idea what they were walking into after 636 days without a game at US Bank Stadium. I think that you're going to see an entirely different Vikings team embracing the fans and embracing the atmosphere even more than they did this last Sunday, because they know what to expect now. And again, it's going to be absolutely insane welcoming Kevin Stefanski home. So I think that really gets into the head of Baker Mayfield and that offense, and they are going to stall out quite a bit. And yeah, man, I don't know. I like both of these predictions because they end with Vikings W, but not going to lie, I'm kind of hoping for mine a little bit more. I think that might really solidify Kirk's MVP run, but we shall see. That's all that we have for the Vikings talk.
Yeah.
Tyler, I know that you wanted to take over here though for your own segment.
Let's do it, man. I'm hyped for this. I mean, Vikes talks obviously was great because we got the dub this week, but some good games in the NFL, man. All right. I mean, let's start in Kansas City. I mean, I know you saw some of the highlights or some of the stuff going on with this game, because this was a shootout, man. This is a battle. AFC West game. Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. These two are going to be rivals now. I mean, because this game really established just like the Chargers, competing for that AFC West title. But 30-24 final. It came down to the wire. Herbert threw 4 touchdowns. Oh, man, it was just so good to watch this game before the Vikings. Mike Williams went absolutely off. I just think the turnovers, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what was going on there.
He just did not look like himself, especially to have a turnover in the last, I think it was their last drive, right? Or within 2 minutes at least, something like that.
Yep.
That is not. I mean, he's the guy that out of all 32 quarterbacks, I want leading my 2-minute drive to win the game.
And he just folded at the end. Yeah,
I bet. He just folded.
I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with another fumble. I mean, the dude's got issues, I guess. Holding on to the football. Wrong. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, Andy Reid. Andy Reid actually got taken out. He had to leave because he was sick.
Hospital. Yeah. He had to go to the hospital after the game.
Prayers to Andy Reid, man. I mean, that's terrible. I hope he's healthy for next week and he's back on the field coaching that team. But because he's such a good guy.
Yeah, I saw a report. He's back at practice. I think either tomorrow or the next day already. They're saying, but yeah, he's fine. It was precautionary, I believe, visit to the hospital. So.
All right, yeah, that's good. I mean, I just think the AFC West is going to be a thrilling division this year. You got the Raiders at 3-0. You got the Broncos at 3-0. The Chiefs at 1-2 in last place right now, which is absolutely crazy. This is why, the AFC West is going to be a battle, man. It's going to be a bloodbath right now. What it's shaping out to be. All 4 teams are in contention, really, because the Chiefs aren't going to go down without a fight. They're not going to. There's no way the Chiefs don't. I don't think the Chiefs will be in a losing record this year, man. And it's not going to happen. So it's it's early, but I'm excited for it, man.
You skimmed over something though. You said something, just about 60 seconds though. What was the record of those Las Vegas Raiders?
Oh my God.
What was that?
30.
Where are they right now? Where are they in the standings?
First place.
That's right, baby. First place. The Raiders. Heck yeah.
Just win, baby. Just win, baby. All right, well, this next game that I wanted to go over is just going to be really quick. I mean, it's going to be really quick. It involves our division rivals. It's just one play, honestly. I mean, the rest of the game was – I can't believe Detroit was really in the game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But that 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker, I mean, I feel for Detroit, honestly. I mean, they're all rivals, I guess, but it's I feel for them, man. Because, I feel like the only 2 teams that kick those in against is either the Minnesota Vikings or the Detroit Lions. And I was the kick hits the upright, and I'm like, it's not in. And it just bounces in, and I'm like, Justin Tucker's the GOAT. I mean, he's literally the GOAT. I don't even know how he made it. I mean, he did a little crow hop, too, which is crazy. I don't know. That was sick.
To get a little extra power. I saw that.
Yeah. Because he said he didn't even have enough in the pregame warm-ups. So I just find that interesting, man.
I was absolutely blown away by that because for some context too, that I don't think a lot of people realize, the Lions had Calvin Johnson, Megatron, at this game.
Oh, not this.
And he was introduced. He didn't talk for long or anything because there's still some issues there. But the owner of the Lions was booed.
Yeah.
Not
that's terrible.
Just a little boo, a deafening boo. So many times she had to stop talking and wait. An elementary school teacher, I'll wait. She literally had to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much more cursed as an organization you can be than losing to an amazing football team in the Ravens, or what should be an amazing football team in the Ravens. A history making kick by Justin Tucker. So pay that man, Calvin Johnson. Try and get that curse lifted, Detroit, because it's not good. It's not good.
I just had to bring up that kick. I mean, that's for the brand. That's something special. Justin Tucker made the most memorable kick right there. I mean that was just nuts. I had to bring it up. I would say probably 2 more games here. Just this last one. This one right here actually will be pretty quick, but the last one's gonna be a little bit. But we got a Super Bowl preview with this game. Bucks Rams. The Bucks.
Super Bowl preview. You mean NFC Championship preview?
Sorry. NFC. Yeah, thank you for correcting. NFC Championship.
No worries. No, I just
unless the purple's there, which hopefully they are. But Matthew Stafford versus the defending Super Bowl champs in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a great game. Stafford went absolutely crazy in this game. 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, Matthew Stafford.
How can you not root for Matthew Stafford? That's my thing, right? We just get done talking about Detroit and the woes there and stuff. They had him on Monday Night Football, and he was kind of even throwing jabs at him too about missing the playoffs and stuff. But how can you not root for Matthew Stafford, especially if you're a fan of any NFC North team, right? Like I think any of us who are competent enough know what a crappy position he was in Detroit. So to see him go and smack the Buccaneers in the face, I mean, and this game was not nearly as close as the final score shows.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. Yeah. It was just domination. I was so impressed with Matthew Stafford. Him and Cooper Kupp seem to be really clicking right now. Kupp is absolutely blowing up with touchdowns, something he couldn't do last year with Jared Goff. Goff could not find him in the end zone at all. I mean, Sean McVay seemed very hyped up on the sideline. The Rams are dangerous. They are very dangerous. Have an absolute next week's game of the week, in my opinion, Cardinals-Rams. That's going to be an insanely good game next week. 2-3-0 teams on the NFC West. Going to be a battle. All
right, bring us around.
Final game of the week. Final big game of the week that we got to recap. You obviously know what game this is. Sunday Night Football from this week. A lot to say about this game. The Green Bay Packers, our division rival, versus the San Francisco 49ers. This game just had me rolling, man. A lot of things happened. A lot of the refereeing crew. I don't even know what to say to Jerome Boger's crew after this game. What was I watching there? This is a primetime football game. And these pass interference calls, there was a tripping call. I mean, it was a trip. I'll give them that. But like a tripping call? Yeah, it was a trip, but a tripping call? Only Jerome Boger's crews. Like, it's just like, but let's start with, I want to hear your opinions on the penalties. Like, the pass interference to me, they're so bad. Like, Devontae Adams and this 49ers defensive backs are both hand fighting for the ball, and somehow it's a penalty on the 49ers. Like, I don't understand that at all. Those pass interferences were just horrendous. What was that?
There were some pretty tough calls against both teams. Like, it kind of finally seemed like Green.
It kind of evened out towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah. It started to even out towards the end. But overall, it started to finally seem like Green Bay was going to get a taste of their own medicine. But then, what happens?
Oh, my God. Kyle Juszczyk goes into the end zone, and you can't give number 12 that much time on the clock. I was saying that before. Once the touchdown happened, you can't give him that much time on the clock.
How much time is too much time, Tyler? 5 seconds? Dude's thrown multiple Hail Marys in his life.
Yeah.
How much time is too much time for this man?
It's like 30. You can't anything under 15 should have gave him. I don't know. The 49ers defense too was terrible there.
San Francisco just fell apart. That's the thing. Because they were playing pretty dang good defense a majority of the game, aside from, like you said, a couple calls here and there. And then Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, my God. I was screaming at him the entire night.
Proves everybody wrong. Puts his team in a position to win against one of, the better teams in this league. As much crap as we like to give Green Bay, they're consistently an amazing team.
Yeah.
Basically would have silenced a lot of the doubters, I think, and really allowed himself some breathing room with this quarterback situation in San Francisco. But his defense goes and blows it because everybody's going to look at this game in the loss column for San Francisco. And, unless you're a diehard San Francisco guy or hopefully on the coaching staff or in the front office for the actual team, you're just going to see the losses. You're not going to see how hard that man worked and how much of a position he put them in to win the game. So I feel the worst for Jimmy Garoppolo personally.
Yeah, he did end up giving his defense that shot to win the game. I mean, they did come back from a huge deficit in this game. You had Green Bay thinking that this game was over, and then you put Aaron Rodgers back on the field with that much time, you're basically sealing your fate at that point because you know what that man can do by himself. He doesn't need anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco had him, man. They did. They just had him, and then you put 12 back on the field with that much time.
Wow.
Like,
you put 12 back on the field with that much time against the team that I think still has a lot of hatred towards for passing.
Right.
So there's a lot of things to dive in there. If you really want to hear all the narratives there, go find yourself a freaking Packers or 49ers podcast to listen to. But what a crummy outcome for us Vikings fans, right? Because I mean, I think I think mathematically, had they lost that game, we'd technically be in first place, or at least tied for first place. Not that it matters, obviously, but
yeah, it'd have been nice, especially because they're playing the Steelers this week. But yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah. Well,
Crazy.
who knows? Maybe the Steelers will show up.
Oh God, not the statue in the pocket.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Hope so.
He's going to the Hall of Fame probably still. So
yeah,
maybe he'll give us one last ride. But anyways, with that brings us to the end of this episode. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hopefully you like that little end of the podcast segment there on the different games around the NFL. We'll probably be keeping that one, but doing the majority of the Viking stuff beforehand. So that way those people who are just looking for that content, they can dip out when they want to. Please reach out to us, support the podcast in any way, shape, or form you can. We love hearing from you guys. We want it more interaction. If we get questions or comments or whatever, we'll start featuring them on the show. Listen to all of our previous episodes as well. They're all archived on our website, www.vikeswithmike. You can also watch us on YouTube. But yeah, man, I mean, I am just so stoked for the rest of this home stretch.
Yeah, this is huge.
And
the bye week.
Games, and then and the bye week, and we just gotta keep stacking these wins. One day at a time, 1 week at a time. Man, it's exciting to get some winning football in Minnesota.
Oh, it felt so good to finally get the dub. Finally.
Absolutely.
Makes you feel like you're doing that every week. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you guys again so much for listening. We will see you all next week after our matchup with the Cleveland Browns. Until then, as always, Skol.